Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live lunchtime edition of Spilling the Tea on GovCon. I'm Teresa Moon, Director of Business Development for Parabolis. We provide a better financial partnership for government contractors that includes a line of credit to fund your growth. The purpose of this podcast is to assist small businesses with success in the federal marketplace by introducing them to industry experts and resources that they may not otherwise know about. Today's guest is Alisa Sheard, who is the Woman-Owned Small Business Federal Contract Program Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration. She's kind of a big deal, folks, and I'm so very proud to welcome her to this program today. Thank you, Alisa.
Awesome. I'm so excited to join you today, Teresa. It's just an honor to be a part of your session. And then to be able to share about the Women-Owned Small Business Program, you being a woman-owned small business owner, it's just a make sense type of session for today. So happy to join.
I love it. And I'm so glad that you're here. You and your team are making really great strides to further advocate and support the advancement of women-owned small businesses in our country. You and I connected through our mutual engagement with Women Impacting Public Policy. Hello, WIP sisters that are here with us today. I'm very encouraged by what I'm hearing coming from you and your team about what's coming ahead for us this year. But before we deep dive in, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience a little bit about yourself and your background, your experience in government contracting, and the work you and your team are focused on today.
Absolutely. So this is my 10th year, a little over 10 years at the Small Business Administration. And I have been engaged in government contracting from the very start. So I started in our field offices working with firms in our 8A business development program. And so helping them with navigating that program, looking for government contracting opportunities, really trying to help them be very successful. And then I reviewed all of the procurement actions that came for 8A firms in the DC metropolitan area. So I moved up along in that process. So I've been well versed in government contracting for quite some time. And then an opportunity became available in the WOSB Federal Contracting Program in our SBA headquarters. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing to be a part of that program as a woman, as some of my experiences with helping so many small businesses could be a part of contributing to being successful with the WOSB program.
So I love that. That's amazing. And I love the fact that so many of you at the SBA have such a deep understanding and background in procurement from other avenues, if you will. Certifications open up a lot of doors for people, but it's significantly important when it comes to WOSBs and barrier to entry that may be imposed on their process. So your background in other areas probably really encourages and advocates even further for these businesses that are leaning into you for your guidance and your assistance. And so I think it's important that people know that you didn't just start in this position. You have worked your way up and have learned through a lot of different roles what it's like to be a small business owner within the federal marketplace. And that's super important. And so I'm glad that you could shed some light on that. So thank you so much. And It's always nice to get to know people a little bit more too. It helps personalize the conversation a little bit too. So that's great. I love it.
Absolutely.
But we do have a lot to go over. And when you and I were discussing this program and things to chat about, we're getting into a bit of a deep dive. And so with respect to time, because people are joining us on their lunch break, and I know they're sitting with pad and paper out. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into some of the questions that we're going to go through. So first one is, what's the current state of the WOSB program? And if you wouldn't mind giving some details in there as far as number of participants and certification process, that type of thing.
Sure. So I'll actually give a little bit of context of history. So the WOSB program has been in existence since about 2008, a lot through lobbying of women that are probably listening to the call today, a lot of the WIP sisters that have been engaged with the WIP community since its inception, helped to get this program established in statute and law. And so that was just the beginning and the starting point. It is tied to industries where women have been underrepresented in the federal marketplace, meaning that construction, the government is not buying enough from women-owned small businesses. So construction is an industry that is a part of this program, and there are contracts that can be just limited to women-owned small businesses that are participating in the program, or to women that carry the economic disadvantage certification. It can be limited to just those as well, depending on which industries. So there are currently 733 industries. We expanded that list in 2022, which made the doors open even more for contracting opportunities for women-owned small businesses. And so we're hoping that things like that, those kinds of changes will help to really make an impact in what we see as significant underrepresentation and making more parity and equity in procurement for our program participants. We are at an amazing number of 8,800 and climbing program participants of women-owned small businesses that are formally certified by SBA or one of our third-party certifiers. So that is an amazing for my small but mighty team of analysts that have been supporting this program.
That's amazing. And that's a big feat, because this program hasn't been along for very long to have accomplished that much in such a short period of time. And I know you've got a lot of people that are supporting you and working towards it. You did mention Women Impacting Public Policy, and you and I both support them so much. And we can talk about some engagements that people across the country can have with them as well. You and your team attend many of the Challenge Her events across the country. And so we'll make sure to drop some info about that so that people can be sure to see you in person too. I think it's one thing to follow you and engage information based off of LinkedIn and on the website for the SBA and things like that. But it's another to actually be able to interact with you. And I think that's what personalizes the process. And it encourages people to get involved, because it's a human to human interaction as opposed to a mechanical interaction. And when they see your passion behind it, when you talk about it, I think it'll further encourage women-owned small businesses to, not only branch out of the commercial market into the federal marketplace, but to truly look into the certification process and what avenues that will open of opportunity for them as well. So that's awesome. I love it.
Absolutely.
My next question is for you. The SBA is responsible for monitoring the federal government achievements in the 5% goal for WOSBs in the federal marketplace. How is the government progressing towards that goal?
Awesome question. And it is such an important question, because historically the government has only achieved that 5% goal twice. And so that is some work and opportunity for growth in that for women-owned small businesses. So the government is still working on getting and achieving that prime goal of 5%. The data that we currently have available to share dates back to FY21. And that was at 4.63%. So still short of that 5% goal, but we are seeing an increase in the dollars of WOSB set-asides, ED-WOSB set-asides, and overall an increase to women-owned small business as a whole. So we are seeing that progress happening, but not to the level that it really should be occurring, given that women make up 20%, almost 20%. Of the federal marketplace.
Wow.
So there's definitely opportunity for growth. And it's so important to me that we work with our agencies that have not achieved these goals, finding ways to collaborate, helping to bring women-owned small businesses to the table as they're doing research, trying to find vendors, and understanding the requirements and what a woman-owned small business has to demonstrate to deliver government services, and know that they can, they absolutely can do and deliver for our government customers. So that is something that I'm taking very personal and very passionately about, to be able to say, hey, we want to create more opportunities. Let's look at what industries can we find those spaces where women can join in and be able to be competitive, just like any other small businesses.
And that's great. I mean, step one is recognizing that there's a problem there and moving towards what the solution could be by the inclusion of more of these women-owned small businesses. So I think it's wonderful. And with a lot of what we're seeing where dollars are being spent, there's a lot of women-owned businesses that have proficiencies that fit into that criteria. So I think it's all about getting quality information that can inform you on the opportunity and knowing the process to go after it. And I think that more than anything else probably will level the playing field if people just understand procurement works differently in government than it does in the commercial market. So there's process of, to follow. And I think if they follow groups that are listening to the guidance of your team, it'll make it a little bit easier for them to gain access to that. So it's awesome. I love it. I mean, things don't happen overnight. We have to keep pushing towards it. And your team's doing a great job of that for sure. My next question, though, is going to ask towards what should WOSBs be focusing on from a procurement perspective in navigating the road to success over the next 12 months?
Oh, absolutely. So I would say looking for those industries where there are opportunities. So my data research, and I've been doing a lot of digging, especially in those agencies that have not met the goal yet and where they're spending their money. And so I encourage others to do the same kind of research that we're doing, looking at our SBA scorecard and seeing where there are opportunities of growth in spaces where there's industries that women-owned small businesses are stepping up for, and have been doing business in. For example, we noticed that IT services across many of these federal agencies, there's room for women-owned small businesses. Yes, we do cloud, we do cyber, we do all kinds of digital services, that we do all of those things that any of our other firms and counterparts perform. Women-owned small businesses can absolutely execute and deliver on those things. And so we need to encourage, hey, let's look at other spaces for doing and identifying potential vendors for those types of things. Also, research and development is another industry where I've seen a lot of our agencies like National Science Foundation, HHS has a lot of research and development activities. There are even other agencies like NASA that all have research and development components. And that may be just studies, looking at data analytics. Those are the kinds of areas that the government itself is just shifting and moving into, that we should be making sure that our women-owned small businesses are positioned to engage with and to be able to be a part of, and being present, in those industry days, being present at the events. Like you said, becomes much more a personal engagement. People buy from who they like, who they trust, who they formed a relationship with. So you have to be able to connect and make that sell, but also deliver and execute when that time comes.
Right. I mean, showing up is more than half the battle, right? Being in the room and getting the information directly from the source is so important, because then you really truly know what the mission is behind what's being asked. And so that's why we attend so many events. It's certainly easier to send in an RFP or send in a capability statement and say, hey, we met at an event in Chicago. And, I loved what you said about whatever the topic may be. I think to engage on a human to human level really will set the bar a little bit easier for you to be able to get in on an opportunity. If someone truly knows who you are, we gravitate towards people we have commonality with, and it makes it a whole lot easier when you can feed off of each other's energy. So in these days, we shied away for a long time because of COVID about going to in-person events, but now we're back at it. And I know that you're getting out there a lot. You go to virtual and in-person events. You travel with WIP often. And I know that you were just out in Houston engaging the audiences out there with the Challenge Her program. I'm going to be at the event in Chicago for Challenge Her. Are you going to be joining us?
I will be.
Yay!
Absolutely.
I can't wait. It'll be so much fun. I can't say enough about how much I love the Midwest, and Chicago is a great place. So for those of you who are looking for Challenge Her events to attend, Challenge Her is going to be in Chicago in July. So check out on WIPP.org for that event calendar and come and join us, because it'll be, if not more informative than most events that you see on with respect to women-owned small businesses, but it'll certainly be fun. We know how to do it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm working really hard to get more of our federal agencies to be a part of that process. The more that we can bring to our matchmaking sessions, the more that they're introduced to those that are out in the marketplace, and the more they're able to confidently say, no, we know, we met them in Chicago, we met them in Houston, and wherever else there are going to be events and opportunities throughout the year.
Yeah.
we can be able to kind of say, no, we know, we brought them to those events just to be able to demonstrate and share with you what they can do.
That's right. And of course, they always do an annual event in the DC metro area. So
Yes.
those of you in the DMV who don't like to leave, and I know a lot of you are laughing right now, but being that I'm from Florida and people are like, oh, I hate leaving Washington, DC. Good news is there's an event there too that you can attend. So you won't have to leave your little sphere of influence in DMV. And I mean nothing by saying little, because I know it's humongous, but I just had to point that out. But that's amazing. And I always like to end the program with allowing our guests to share, bits of wisdom or tips and tricks, words of advice that people really need to hear from the inside out, and things maybe that have helped you along the way that might help others that are listening.
Yeah, so I always think about first our resource partners. SBA has a network of resources all across the country. We've grown our women's business centers that can help to engage. We have our SBDCs, small business development centers, and we also have our counselors at SCORE that can provide services. And I also challenge her. If you haven't gone to the website, there are tons of free training on that website. And then also want to highlight our Apex Accelerator because DoD has done amazing in formulating an effective small business strategy that they're trying to roll out to help grow the number of new entrants in the federal marketplace. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of things and tools and things that are happening that are trying to drive change and make that possible. So our Apex Accelerators are going to be a critical part of helping to drive that change, and the resources that they have available, oftentimes for free for small businesses. So, you need to do some research on particular federal agencies. They have tools that can do that research and help you find and identify contracting opportunities. And then I would also say never leave off the table what that data can tell you. Always look at, hey, where are opportunities, contracts expiring? And how could we be able to maybe influence where that direction of that next buy is? Because 9 times out of 10, the government is going to probably buy it again. So that is just my biggest tip to many that I found very effective, of looking at where things are expiring in the government and where can that then you engage and possibly being a part of the next buy of that, or directing that opportunity to your business and your company or partnership arrangement.
I love it. And that's so important. And I think everything that you've just said is very encouraging for people who may be a little intimidated of what the process is going to look like. It takes a lot of courage to be a business owner. Yes. That's why a lot of people don't do it. But it's super important to our economy in the United States. It's employing more than anyone else in the country. Our small businesses are what makes our economy grow and be great. And so I encourage people to have that level of courage to jump into it. If you're good at something, federal government is going to have a place for you. And so look into the opportunities and make sure you do your homework. You look at the data like Alisa was recommending, and you really research what's up and coming, and don't go into it with your eyes closed. Be informed by the information that's already readily available and for free. There are lots of resources that are offering it. And you mentioned the Apex Accelerators. And for those of you who aren't familiar, those are the former PTACs. Yes. So same people, just a different name, but they're providing great services. And most of the time, like you said, it's free of charge. So get involved in your local Apex Accelerator and see what they've got going on. They do trainings and informative sessions on all kinds of things that'll keep you up to date with what you need to know to engage in the federal marketplace. So I love that you mentioned that too. We've got a lot of great partners in many areas across the country that are supporting government contractors through the Apex Accelerator. So that's a great ad. I appreciate that very much. And absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Chicago and being able to not only have some fun, but be able to engage and learn from you and your team, and really share some quality information with some growing small businesses, woman-owned small businesses that really need you. And that advocacy that you provide to that group of Challenge Her and WIP is very appreciated. And I know a lot of them are watching us on LinkedIn Live right now. And I want to encourage all of you that are watching us on LinkedIn to tag Alisa in your questions, or if you have any questions for me. We're both on LinkedIn. So go ahead and put your questions in that box below, and we'll be sure to get back to you or address any of the issues or concerns you may have or questions you may have. I hope to see everyone in the events coming up. I travel all over the place, and I know Alisa does as well. And so we're very grateful for your time today, because I know that your schedule is really busy.
Absolutely. So happy to join you. And thank you for the invitation. I appreciate that so much.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us. I encourage everyone to connect with Alisa on LinkedIn and follow her to gain access to some amazing insights and details on upcoming opportunities and events she's attending in the year ahead. If you like what you heard today, we also encourage you to check out our YouTube channel by the same name, where you can find our archives and check out all of our past podcasts. This year, we're committed to continuing to bring you the best thought leaders and experts to assist in making 2023 your best year yet. As always, we appreciate you being here. I'm Teresa Moon, and this is Spilling the Tea on GovCon. Have a great day.
Bye.